Let's spend some time talking about what exactly PTO boards are supposed to be doing, what they shouldn't be doing, and what the heck the whole point of a PTO board is. Why even have a board of officers? What is their role? Do they get special privileges? Do they get to decide what the agenda of the PTO, like what happens during the year, where money gets spent? Like, what is the deal? Are they the PTO themselves and that they have the final say on things? We're going to get into all of that in this video because you know I have some strong feelings about how to run good groups. And if you do not have the right kind of understanding about what your PTO board should be doing, how it should be behaving, the guidelines it should be following, then that really can spell trouble for your larger PTO. A good friend of mine was involved with a PTO that completely melted down because people had the wrong idea about what their role was. They weren't following the rules and they were just doing whatever the heck they wanted. And so people were like, bye, Felicia. We do not have time for this nonsense. And they up and quit in the middle of the year. And these were dedicated volunteers who'd been like volunteers forever and leaders forever and had like been president at other units and really had gone above and beyond and were part of that 20% that were doing 80% of the work. Or maybe 90 in the case of most PTOs, but they were dedicated people who just like said, I've had enough, stick a fork in me, I am done. What should PTO boards look like? So really they should be a group of officers that are elected with like that cover the main roles of your PTO. I've totally talked before about the positions that your PTO should have, like the main positions, because I have a very strong feeling about what positions every group needs to have in order to be functioning well and not be dysfunctional. So one that functions well and that helps the whole group be healthy and work collaboratively together. The PTO board should act like a mini committee to help narrow down the options and more coherently talk through things so that when issues and options are presented to the larger PTO members at the general PTO meetings. So they should be talking through issues and narrowing down options so that when it comes time to present everything at the PTO meeting, it can be done in a more streamlined fashion and that you're not going on and on forever. So it's a way to workshop issues, talk through things, bring up pros and cons, and kind of work some of the kinks out before you get to the general membership meeting. So it should not ever be the case where the PTO board is just deciding something and it's done. Like I can think of very limited circumstances when that is the case. First, you're going to want to check your bylaws. Your bylaws should talk about what your PTO board can and cannot do. More so what they should be doing. It's more of like those guidelines rather than restrictions. In the case of bylaws, either creating them or updating them, there should be a committee who kind of works through everything. And then it should be first presented to the executive board so they can give the thumbs up or thumbs down. Again, talk through some of those issues, work through kind of sticking points to kind of find a better solution so that it's in a more final form, gets to be presented to the PTO membership. But in no circumstance should your PTO board be approving the bylaws and then just shoving them down the throats of the PTO members. Because a lot of times there's a big difference between the people who are volunteering consistently and are stepping up into those leadership roles and then more of a casual volunteer. Like really, the PTO is not just the board. It really encompasses the board and the principal and your teacher rep and the general volunteers who may not have yet stepped up into a leadership position. So really, if you think about the PTO board, think about the PTO board kind of like a funnel where you're funneling down the information where all of the general stuff is up here and there's lots of possibilities, but then it goes through for like the first gate. And the first gate is the PTO board. And then that's when things start to get a little narrowed down. The PTO board is not at the bottom of the funnel where everything comes out. I guess. So if you need a visual to kind of think about it, then hopefully that helps you. Being kind of like the first people to hear about things and to make the initial decisions to kind of narrow down the possibilities. That is the whole point of the PTO board, because ideally your board is going to be comprised of experienced volunteers and leaders who have been around, seen that, done that, have an understanding of how your group works, what the school's needs are, and how those two connect, because that is the whole point. You're trying just to make your school better. And if you are working in a vacuum of information where you're brand new to the scene and you kind of don't understand the inner workings of everything, it's going to be more difficult. So when you have experienced leaders on your PTO board, then that is when you get kind of better outcomes because they understand what is kind of going on. That is not to say you cannot have someone new to your board, but you're just going to have to work to educate them. They're going to have to work to get educated and kind of get up to speed on things. But usually that's the case. When someone comes onto the board, they're just not sitting there like a lemming. They want to have that position and want to get involved and want to do awesome things for the school. So anyways, I hope this video has been super helpful and that you understand how PTO boards should be working. And I hope to see you around for the next video. Want even more guidance on how to be a stronger leader so you can run a better PTO or PTA? All these resources and more are waiting for you at ptoanswers.com.